Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. If you would like to support this channel, please hit the like button and consider subscribing if you enjoy the content. And now let's start with the first story. It's called Funny Style Guide. I was working in science communication when our in-house copy editor created a style guide. According to this guide, you shouldn't say there are 1612 cats. Instead, you should spell out numbers 1 to 9 and use numerals for numbers over 10. Okay, no worries. The author didn't like too much punctuation. Don't use Oxford commas, they are unnecessary, if you say so. We were also told not to write octopi or octopodes, but to stick with octopuses. Foreign plurals are usually wrong and always pretentious. Avoid them. Malicious compliance time. From the day the new style guide launched, a Thursday, I had 2 working days before our part-time copy editor was back in the office. 2 whole days of delightedly replacing foreign plurals with English versions of them. Data? Foreign plural. Pretentious. Get rid of it. A database datum space is a great way to store large amounts of information. Analysis? Pretentious. Our analyses showed that. Criteria? Nope. The selection criterions for this job are media. There was great mediums coverage for our work, including on CNN and in the Washington Post. Come Tuesday, I received a very mild talking to. Yes, you are very clever. Stop it. And the style guide was updated to suggest we use common sense. So, what do you think? Is it pretentious or just the right way? Let me know in the comments down below. The next story is called Must Call IT. Many years ago, I worked in a call center for a major credit provider. When I started, I was trained in certain aspects, but because I was saving for a house at the time, I put my hand up for further product training. Until 6 months into my employment, I was one of the more highly skilled agents on the floor. I was able to take calls from any queue about any product, as well as being trained to take escalations and complaints. A team nicknamed the Clock Watchers ran the floor, telling the agents when to take breaks and controlling the queues, as well as checking on any agent who was offline too long after a call. One of our systems was a DOS-like program. This was in the days when a Motorola flip phone was considered cutting edge. It was pretty reliable, but when it crashed, the only way to get it working again was by rebooting the computer. After working there long enough, you got to know by the time of day when the IT support guys would be around. And if you knew there'd be a raid, it was quicker to just reboot than to call them and have them tell you to. About 10 months into my employment there, I could reboot the computer and get all the necessary programs open and logged in again within 3 minutes. During lunchtime, for example, the hold for IT could be up to 10 minutes, due to break overlaps. So when this program ran down, I would flick my status to unavailable and perform the quick reboot. One busy day, the program crashed, but I was able to help the customer using other systems. Once I was off the call, I flicked into unavailable and performed the necessary reboot. As I was logging in again, I got a tap on the shoulder and turned to see one of the clock watchers pointing at her watch impatiently. My system crashed. I am rebooting as fast as I can. You need to call IT if you have an issue. You can't just sit in unavailable. It will take longer. Call IT for system issues. Otherwise, you are required to be taking calls. Now, I knew their KPIs were based on calls taken and customer hold times, but she did not want to listen. I called IT and told them I had performed a reboot, and by the time my call was answered, I was back up and running. I didn't think much more of it until 2 days later when a mandatory coaching session showed up on my schedule. My team leader listened to my reasoning, but basically had her hands tied and went through the coaching with me. Fine. You want to call IT for system issues? No problem. 2 of our other programs had what we called floor workarounds, where if the correct procedure didn't work, you could get around it. Not me. Not anymore. Error? Put the customer on hold and call IT. System crash? Call IT. Program taking too long? Call IT. My stats went down the toilet. Then I had a night shift. Our IT guys went home at 8 PM, but we had a team in another time zone. The wait times were horrendous. So at 8:30 PM one night, my program ran down and I called IT. After 20 minutes on hold, the clock watcher on duty came to my desk to ask what was going on. I explained. She asked if I could just reboot because I was one of only 3 escalation trained agents on duty that night. I apologized and said I would get straight on it as soon as I'd spoken to IT, just like I was coached to. I was on hold for just under an hour, and the IT agent sounded as exasperated as I felt. The next shift I was given a memo stating that agents who had seniority could try rebooting before calling IT. The third story is called Bad Car Dealer. This was a while ago. I am female and I know about cars. Not a mechanic, but I have some skills and can differentiate between a transmission and a drivetrain. I researched a specific car that I had become obsessed with finding, a Jeep, and I was totally in love with the special edition they had. It had limited production and I was looking to see which dealership had my price. Hugh, the tool salesman. How can we help you today? I'm looking for the Arctic Edition Jeep. The what? The whatever year it was Arctic Edition Jeep. They make it in the Wrangler and Liberty body styles. Yeah, I don't think that's a thing. I was getting angry at that point. Yes, it is a thing. It's on Jeep's actual official website. The website says you have one. Yeah, there's no such thing. You should come back when you know what you are talking about. I was shocked and turned around and walked out. The dealership called me several times over the next week, but I never responded. Came back the next week with my Arctic Edition Jeep and made it a point to tell him he missed out on a good commission and that he should never talk down to a customer, especially a woman. We hold grudges. His response? Red-faced? Whatever. The last story is called Use the Vacation. This happened when I finally decided to leave my role as the sole account manager for a marketing/web design firm. While leaving past jobs gave me graduation goggles, aka short-term regret/second thoughts, everything this time around made me want to leave yesterday. But as I did more and more job interviews each lunch break, there was one thing I had to check. You see, the year before, I carefully planned my May vacation for only as many vacation days that my second year at the company provided. Lo and behold, I returned home and was shorted a check by a few $100s. I emailed one of my two bosses, Boss 1, to learn that while a second year employee earns X days over the course of the year, I simply hadn't accrued all my paid days off yet. My time off was approved, but only a couple of days were paid. My boyfriend, who worked in upper management, explained that this is because if an employee quits in January, you don't want to have to pay them their entire year's worth of vacation out at once. Annoying, but at least it made sense. Flash forward to me preparing to leave. My specific question was, at what rate do I accrue time off? I didn't want to be done on 28th of February if I'd accrued like 2 or so days on the 1st of March and miss out on a better payout. And no, I was not putting up with this job's crap for several more months for a big Christmas payout, though I wished I had planned it better. One night I found my employee handbook with my boyfriend's management eye to help read the policy. Turns out it didn't matter. Company name doesn't pay out for vacation days earned, whether the employee leaves voluntarily or involuntarily. If you are not paying out vacation days ever, why accrue them and not just give them out all at once? Either accrue the days to avoid massive payouts or don't pay out ever and give everyone their allotted lump sum for the year. Pick one. I asked Boss 2 about this, not letting on my planned exit, and she cheerfully responded, "Yep, we want employees to take the time off they deserve and not bank it." Such a sweet, self-care sounding thing. When I gave my notice, my bosses convinced me to give 3 weeks. I was ordered to complete a 5-page exit doc for my team and successor. My bosses rushed their hiring process so I could train my replacement one day. Client spreadsheet had to be updated, a new one needed to be created, and I was still performing my regular job duties which were already too much, hence my leaving. But my 3rd year equals 3 vacation days right off the bat. In a moment of malicious compliance, I looked forward to taking off every Friday from my departure. After all, I needed to use the time off I earned, since there'd be no payout. Boss 2 was already on edge over everything, and her immediate response was, "Can you take Fridays off and still finish your exit doc and duties?" We were also short-staffed, she said. It did not matter. I had 3 days to use and 0 payout options. My boss responded, "Let me talk to Boss 1. I did not get my Fridays off, but suddenly they agreed to pay me a few $100 extra on my last paycheck. I am still convinced my payout was less than what my vacation days amounted to, and I should have done the math to hold them to it. But my vacation days didn't disappear into thin air, which I honestly think they just expected. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories in today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and want to support me, please subscribe and hit the like button. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.